Now, this is the hockey sequence that was originally in towards the beginning. There's Buddy sitting. Those are kids. Supposed to be elves. They look kind of like kids. I never liked the way that one turned out. But here he is skating on what is Teflon. There was no real ice. There was a Teflon ice rink laid in to a piece of the set that was removed. It's actually the same set as you see Buddy walking through in the actual film. And as you can see, some of this comedy is a little brutal and a little violent. Looks like he's hurting the elves. And sort of what made us, at the end of the day, lean against putting it in. The movie was also kind of long, and the part of the movie that was slowest was the North Pole, and so we looked for things that could be removed, and this ultimately went. This is a great little forced perspective piece. Sorry about the shoulder. Not flat. It's pretty funny. You can see the scenes were reordered because this piece with Papa Elf is still in the movie, and it sets up him at the toy shop. In this case, it's setting up him banging his head. So it's funny seeing him hit his head. This little tree thing is kind of funny too. He's not doing too well or fitting in too well. But ultimately, the North Pole was too long, and we're able to communicate the same things with fewer scenes. So now we have Buddy arriving. There were two scenes with Papa Elf. We used this part still in there. There were two times that he ran home, and we ended up combining it into one thing. In this sequence coming up, Papa's about to tell him that he's not an elf, he doesn't have the heart to do it, and instead ends up teaching him about the sleigh.
Sorry, Papa.
This was instead incorporated into one big scene where he shows him the sleigh, he goes back to work, and then ultimately tells him he's not an elf. So there were two long scenes. So, and as you watch it, remember there would be sound effects in here that we never got a chance to do, with the chair creaking and everything. It's pretty funny here. And there's the visual of Buddy squishing his legs. Remember, that's a little kid's legs. The little kid was clicking his feet against the ground, and Bob Newhart was pretending that he was getting squished.
Tinker before you. Great grandpa before him.
Right.
And I'm supposed to follow in your footsteps. But I'm always letting everyone down.
And here's a little exposition we didn't really need. We got the gag of him sitting on his lap. We put one shot of that in the movie.
Probably should have had a talk.
It's really nice for their relationship, though. Thanks to the DVD that, people can check this out. Because I think it was good, but it did slow the movie down ultimately. And all this stuff was communicated in a much more succinct fashion.
I want you to help me.
Their performances are both really good here.
You get up. Okay, real slow.
He doesn't have the heart to tell him you heard him. The short version of this scene is in the movie as a cutaway, but it was really shot as one long scene and also introduced Amy Sedaris. Again, very funny scene that I liked. It's not out because it wasn't good. It was out because it was slowing the movie down, especially as a cutaway from the North Pole, just to introduce Walter Hobbs. We also didn't know where this scene would end up. We kept moving it around within the context of the North Pole. Obviously, it bumps a bit because it's, in New York. At one point, it was when Papa Elf was showing him the snow globe and saying he works at the Empire State Building, and then we cut to this.
Cinnabon, you got.
So sometimes in making movies, you want to, it becomes about communicating something very effectively and efficiently, and not just putting in the funniest scene in the longest form possible.
But the children love the books. Thank you. I mean, I know that. I made them, and, I'm the one who ran the focus groups, but I like hearing that.
Mr. Hobbs, your 2 o'clock is here.
Would you please use the intercom? We talked about this.
Do you want me to use it now? Because
So this sets up her using the intercom, which she makes a point of later. It's still in the movie. Hi, it's me on the intercom.
Yeah,
Mr. Hobbs, your 2 o'clock is here.
2? Okay, got it.
The Nun was great too. I mean, it was just gave you insight into his character.
I know how much these books mean to your kids over there, so it's Christmas, and what the hell?
I think there's an even longer version of this scene.
Oh,
that's a little kid's hand, and then we cut to him, and then you cut to a shot where he's a forced perspective shot where he's behind him. So they're faking their eye lines here. I'm pretty proud of this scene technically, especially when you see the wide shots where it's not a split screen, it's forced perspective. He's sitting on a platform, Buddy's sitting on a platform much closer to us again, and they're faking their looks, and it's pretty seamless. And there's not even any computer blending, digital blending of the two sets. I mean, that's all done through lighting.
You're not an elf.
What do you mean I'm not?
So this was the second of two scenes. The first scene that was in the deleted scenes came after he was demoted to toy testing, and then this scene came after he passed out and fell on the elf. That's a great shot. And also, Bob Newhart's delivery is so great and dry. I mean, if you're a fan of Newhart's, this is just, it's just wonderful to hear him read the lines for me.
Nothing would come out.
Well, I just thought I had a glandular problem.
Your glands are fine.
So,
And so in the last scene, you would have seen him talk about the sleigh, and in this scene here, you would have seen him introduce him to the photo and the snow globe.
A biological papa.
And watch how he crosses behind him. That's pretty cool. This is just more to show you how we go ahead and shoot the plate that the stop motion animation is inserted into.
hey, Leon.
Why the long face, partner?
Well, it seems I'm not an elf.
So we have a stand-in wearing a foam snowman costume, and that sort of gives you a sense, and gives the animators a sense of where you want the snowman and what the shot is. The voice of Leon, of course, we didn't have Leon Redbone's performance. That was done later. That was just me reading into a microphone on the set to do the off-camera stuff. So what you do is you go through all the motions like this as a reference, and then you go back and you shoot the plate clean, where we pull all that stuff off of the snow, and we have Will just acting with air. So we have a nice clean plate. Same thing here. We shoot some like that with the foam head, and some of them with nothing in it. And then the animators put the snowman in.
I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go find my dad.
You do that, buddy.
Okay.
And remember, it ain't yellow ices.
No, I know. Thanks, Leon.
This scene, which is a one-shot scene, very well performed. It offers insight into their relationship. You see Radio City Music Hall behind them. It was a nice New York shot. But ultimately, we pulled this out because we were trying to just keep the movie moving, bring it down under 90 minutes, which was part of what I was instructing to do. And so we started removing whatever we could. We ended up adding some stuff back in, and so it came in over 90 minutes. But the scene was on the chopping block pretty early.
Said it was a nice night. Really, it's a very beautiful night.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
This is nice. Wow.
I like the performance here.
Okay, something's a little wrong.
This is a longer version of the scene where Walter tucks him in. It's basically the same joke. It plays out a little bit more, and I think it was entertaining. I don't think it wasn't. But again, this is a part in the movie where the momentum started to slow down a little bit. Instead of ending it on a joke that kind of wasn't landing perfectly, we ended up ending the scene on a more poignant note where he just tells him he loves him. And the dad doesn't acknowledge it, and he walks out of the room, and Buddy smiles and gives you some insight into where Buddy's coming from emotionally. Here we turn it into more of a gag where he says, I love you. Okay. Do you love me? Okay. And you see they play it very well. We were in danger of actually losing one of the scenes in this run because many people felt it was slowing down, and it was. And so we opted to trim down the scenes in this sequence instead of losing any.
I love you.
It is funny though.
Okay, go to sleep.
Do you love me?
Yeah, sure. Go to sleep now.
How much? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, I've known you for very long.
There's also some discussion as whether or not Walter would put up with this conversation
I can say my feelings.
if he cared enough to humor Buddy at this point. He was pretty fed up with him. But the performances were great and justified on both sides.
Dad? Just to be clear, when you say significant, do you mean...
So this is the Miles Finch fight, and there's only a few shots that are different here. Basically, it was cut down the violence a little bit. The fight was a little brutal. This was one of the notes that the studio had. And I don't disagree. I mean, it's funny, but see now in the cut he flips him on the table, but here he was he whacks him into the.
Say it again. No. Say it again. No. Say it again. No.
On the one hand, it is cartoony, so the violence isn't that awful. The bite here, he bites him, and that's kind of rough. We probably could have just trimmed the bite and kept the head bang into the thing, but it is a PG movie, and we didn't want to make it inappropriate for kids or scary to them. So we erred to the side of making it a little less violent.
He thinks he's an elf. Nobody bites Miles Finch.
A little different from the station agent.